Welcome to Learn to Lead Differently. I'm Amy Scrignoli, and I'm so excited today because I have a very special guest today, Katie Kennedy. As many of you know, one of the reasons that I wanted to create this podcast was because I want to talk to leaders at all different levels across all different industries. And Katie is such a great guest because she's just starting her career and her leadership journey. So thank you so much for joining me, Katie. Welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
So let's start a little bit. Just tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm born and raised in Los Angeles and recently moved to the South Bay a few years ago. I've been into schooling and everything, doing well, and then I just graduated college from Cal State Long Beach. My major was childhood development.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've been big into fitness and yoga lately as well.
So let's take a little bit of a step back. Were you always a good student? Are you a person who enjoyed school?
Here and there.
Okay.
I'd say elementary school definitely, and then middle school. And then high school was, I'm not going to lie, I kind of slacked off a little bit. Yeah. But then got more serious junior and senior year, of course.
As you were sort of preparing to think about going to college.
Yes.
Did you know when you started applying to colleges, did you have some idea of what you thought you might want to do?
No idea. I believe 16 is when you start thinking about it, and I had no clue.
Which most 16-year-olds don't, by the way, so that's expected.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so much pressure lately on teenagers that you're supposed to know what you want to do, but you're 16, like your brain isn't even fully developed. So people told me just put business down because you can never go wrong in business.
Okay.
So at the time I applied to all the schools and I just put business down as my major.
Okay. So you applied to colleges and you put business down because, you know, like people said, sure, put business down. But then ultimately you ended up deciding during that journey early childhood development. So how did that come about?
And I was just kind of putting my resume into anything. I've always loved kids. I've always babysat, anything like restaurants or babysitting.
Okay.
And then I saw this summer camp that was called Camp Escapades. It's located in Torrance. And I just put my resume in. I got a job interview. And I didn't even know until I got to the job interview that it was for kids with special needs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she was explaining to me, she's like, yeah, so we have speech pathologists, OTs, PTs. And I was like, what's a OT? Like, I didn't even know. And then she broke it down for me, occupational therapy. And most people don't know what OT is because it's not as straightforward as the other ones.
Right.
But OT focuses on fine motor and gross motor skills. So any like small movements, like how to pick up a pencil and write with it, or any big movements like jumping and skipping, hopping, things like that. But that's how I started with kids. So I was at this program, Pediatric Therapy Network, and I did a summer camp there. I loved it. It can be tough to work with children with special needs, definitely, but it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
And then through there, they have this other program, Leaps and Bounds, where you're working with 2-year-olds who are on the spectrum with special needs or developmental delays. And then you're giving them the various therapies, so speech, OT, and PT.
Yep.
And that was how I was introduced to the field of kids and then the different therapies as well.
So what then made you kind of come out of it and think, I'm not sure if that's exactly what I want to do?
Well, over a while, sometimes you tend to get burnt out.
Yeah.
It can be a lot, especially when they're so young and you're there to help. But ultimately, if your heart is not in it and if you go to work every day dreading it, like, I don't want to do this, you go to bed not looking forward to what you have to wake up to, it's just like, maybe this isn't for you. I still love working with kids, but it just can be a lot with kids with special needs. So I ultimately just got burnt out, I think. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's tough too, right? To be a new college grad and to already be thinking like, I'm not sure if I can sustain this.
Yeah.
But was it also, I know you're kind of exploring an interest in maybe going potentially into the more therapy side of the business, the physical or OT. Did that pique your interest at that camp, sort of seeing the therapists that were there and the work they were doing?
Not so much at the summer camp because it was more for kids with special needs. There's not many places for them to go to a summer camp without a specialized aide with them 24/7. So it wasn't really through there that I learned so much about OT, but it was once I started with working with the 2-year-olds that I was able to see, oh, this is what OT is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I talk to so many people, and one of the themes that we talk about throughout is that I don't think there's a single college in the country that does a good job of exposing students to all of the possible careers. Like you said, a lot of people couldn't even tell you what an occupational therapist is. And one of my closest friends is an OT. She actually specializes in hand therapy. She had no idea. She was even a kinesiology major in college, and she didn't know about OT.
Yeah.
So that became a, after she graduated, going back experience to pursue that. So you graduate, right? And I will say, I also want to underscore this. In many cases, you still have the degree. I mean, certainly I'm not doing anything in my direct field. I think that's a very common thing because at the end of the day, college is really teaching you a lot of foundational skills that are actually quite transferable depending on what space you go into. But I do know that feeling of there's almost this expectation like, okay, now you're out in the real world. You've graduated from college, go.
Yep.
And that's really scary and overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, to be totally candid, my go move was great. I have no idea what I want to do. I'm going to wait tables. And that was a skill I learned while in college. I was like, okay, I know how to wait tables.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that until I sort of figure out what I want to do. So I know along this journey, while you were doing this early childhood development, and you've always had an interest in fitness, talk to me a little bit about how that started to become even a bigger part of your journey.
Okay, so we all know COVID. During COVID, I picked up running, and I would run down this path that was by our house, and then I would just start adding miles randomly. I had no idea what I was doing. Started running, loved doing that, and then when I moved in with my grandma for a little bit over COVID, they had the Silver Lake Reservoir right around there, so I would just run circles around there, and I just realized like health and fitness, it's always something that is there for me. It always helped me feel better. If I was ever feeling anxious or stressed or anything, you just go on a run and everything feels good.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago for Mother's Day, because we're in June, I wanted to buy my mom a yoga gift card because she used to do yoga back in Burbank for a Mother's Day present, and I just Googled yoga studios around me, and then I walked into a Core Power and I had no idea what it was all about, and then I talked to the lady at the front desk and she helped me get a gift card, and she's like, oh, and by the way, we have a free week trial where you can come and take any classes you want for a week. Not sponsored, by the way, but and I went every day and I loved it. And I was just like, I can't not have this in my routine. So that's kind of how I got into yoga.
So you'd been running and you had kind of had the mental aspect, like you said, where you could sort of go out around the reservoir, wherever, and just feel yourself calm down. What was different or additional when you experienced the yoga?
So if you've never taken a yoga class, especially hot yoga, it can be very challenging because there's so many elements. There's the heat, there's the holding poses. And if you're not familiar with yoga, you may see it online and be like, oh, that looks easy. I can hold a low lunge. I can do a warrior too. Like, look at me. But when you're really doing it in the heat and it's like 100 degrees and you're like dripping sweat and everything, you're like, ooh, okay, maybe this is not as easy as I thought it was.
And then also, I think for me at least, you're starting to get a lot more in tune with your body. Like of all of the different fitness things that I've done, whether it's running, whether it's lifting weights, which are still core to like my fitness schedule, there's something about when you're just using your body as the tool itself that you start, I feel like, to get more in tune with your body.
Definitely. And one of the big things in yoga is they teach you about breathing.
Yeah.
And you're meditating without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the things, if you do practice yoga, it translates to other areas of your life. And one big difference I've noticed for me is anytime you feel stressed or dysregulated, the best thing you could do for your body is just to take a deep breath in through your nose to a 6 count and then exhale out for a 6 count. And that just helps regulate like your system and everything.
It's like a nervous system reset.
Yes.
And it seems so simple, right? You're like, I breathe all the time. I'm breathing without even thinking about it. But it's that like intentionality around, okay, I'm going to do a specific type of breathing. And the fact that that can like literally calm your nervous system to me is wild, but it works. Like I do it a lot in my real life all the time and it actually works.
Yeah.
So you went from in a relatively short period of time, like I'm going to get my mom a gift card to I'm going to do the to the week trial to I might want to become an instructor. So like I'd love to hear how that went. Like what then all of a sudden did that become that like, oh, maybe I want to teach this?
Actually, I had no idea. So I think I was probably 1 or 2 months into it, very fresh. And every fall they have their 200-hour teacher training, which helps you teach the yoga vinyasa flow class.
Okay.
And one of my favorite teachers, she approached my mom because my mom also was coming at the time.
Okay.
And she was like, have you ever thought about having Katie do our teacher training? And she was like, she checked her phone. She looked at my schedule. She's like, no, I think she's too busy for that. Nah. And somehow weeks went by and I signed up the very last day you could sign up to do it.
Well, it's interesting too. I mean, I know that you've decided ultimately that probably like early childhood education isn't where you want to go, but a lot of the paths from that is teaching, right? So there is still like a core of moving into the teaching space, but maybe just a little bit teaching something maybe a little bit differently than you thought you were originally going to teach. What did it mean to you that someone saw something in you so quickly that maybe you weren't sitting there going, I'm 1 month in and I think I should be an instructor. And the fact that someone that was teaching saw that in you, what did that mean to you?
It's very like inspirational, I guess. And I'm just very grateful for her. I would have never thought, like, had it not been for her, I don't think I ever would have been like, oh yeah, I could do this and teach a class.
So, 200 hours, like that's kind of hard for me to conceptualize. Like, what does that mean? So in order to get to that kind of 200 hour certification, what does that look like from a timing perspective? And is it the same for everybody who does it?
It depends where you do your program at. But as far as Core Power, it's 200 hours total. But meaning, I believe it's like 50. I'm not sure what the breakdown is of in-studio hours, but it was a 9-week training for in-studio hours. And then you have to take 50 classes outside of that. And then there's a lot of online components. So that all total makes up for the 200 hours.
So you love it, right? I can tell actually when you're talking about it, like the excitement is there. What has that now done just in general as finding something that you feel this passionate about? Has it had other impacts on your life and like the way that you're viewing things?
Yeah, yoga teaches you so many life lessons. Like I said, when you're in class, you're secretly meditating without even knowing it because you're breathing in this hot room, everyone's dripping sweat, and you're like, what is this? But it teaches you to, like I said, take that outside of your yoga room. So anytime you're driving in the car, you know, we live in LA, everyone's going to cut you off and you're going to be like, but just take a deep breath and like, it's okay. That's how things escalate.
Right.
Is when you're dysregulated.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't envy people your age coming out of college right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world.
Yeah.
Certainly things like yoga can help to be sort of that valve release, that like stress reliever. But what are some of the biggest worries and challenges that you feel like you and the people, you know, in your age group coming out of college right now? What do you think are some of the biggest things you're facing?
I would say our AI for sure. Just how much it's taking over jobs and how scary it can be to go into college and then realize, oh, shoot, I'm halfway through and now AI is going to take over this job in 2 years or if they haven't done so already.
What is the sentiment? I mean, I can kind of see it from my perspective. I'm, you know, much further along in my career and a lot older than you. What is sort of the chatter around people your age as AI is really becoming much more prevalent? And it feels also like realistically in the last year, it just whoosh.
Yes, I think it can be helpful in many ways. I'm sure we've all gone on, you know, any AI platform and searched something and you instantly get a bunch of results. But it's scary that it's taking over so many jobs and there's so much uncertainty in the world right now. But I know that hands-on careers and professions like PT, it's, you know, I hope a robot can't replace that, but yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things that the AI is, I don't see a path for it to replace is not only the hands-on piece, which I think is so important, but also the community piece. I mean, I know, yes, you hear people that they're like in relationships with chatbots and blah, 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 but that is to me a false replacement of community. And one of the things I've always enjoyed so much about yoga classes is, to your point, like, yes, you're sweaty, yes, you're breathing, but you're doing it all together in a room. And there is an energy to that. And the instructor is really, in many ways, creating and cultivating that energy. And like, okay, great. So you could put a voice of God in the room.
Mhm.
But I just don't think it delivers the same experience as
Yeah.
that live instructor in the room.
I agree. Yeah. The energy you bring into a room is very important. Some days I'm very nervous because whatever happened outside, but I just have to leave everything outside of the room and give that time, that 1 hour for my students. Especially in yoga sculpt, if your instructor, mind you, it was like 100 degrees, cardio, weights, all the things. If your instructor's like, hi guys, happy
Right.
Monday,
No,
how are
you're
we doing today? No one's gonna listen to
no.
you. Bicep
You're like
curls,
counting on that
no
instructor to
one's
like
gonna
keep you
listen.
going. Like be the
Yeah.
reason I can finish this class.
Exactly. So I love the wooers in class. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But shout out to the wooers. You really keep the energy up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how did you feel like also again, sometimes I feel like there's so much pressure in the world today and definitely so much pressure for people your age. Did you feel supported and like you had permission to make a change even coming out of a school and not sort of like, well, you've got a degree in it, so you need to do it for a certain period of time?
Yeah. It gets me emotional to think about it, but I just want to thank Gary, my stepdad, for giving me the space to explore everything. I feel like a lot of people don't have that,
Yeah.
and I'm lucky to have him as a mentor.
It's so important because I think, again, like people need ultimately the support to make decisions that are going to be difficult. And
Mhm.
I agree. Like if you don't have those supportive things, that's how I feel like it's so easy for people to get into a situation where they're so unhappy and they don't know what to do. And it's interesting, I talk to people all different levels, all different industries, and nothing makes me happier than people when they're talking about what they do, they light up.
Yeah.
If being in this space that you are, and, there's a lot of us that are parents and leaders and instructors at, places like Core Power where we're seeing people that we may say, I could see something in them. What advice do you have to people, in our space of how we can continue to ensure that the next generation of leaders and people coming into the workforce is feeling supported and seen and heard? Like, what would you advise us to be doing?
I would say listen to your intuition. You know in your body when you enjoy doing something and when something feels right or wrong, and just kind of lean into what it is that you love doing.
And what could we do also, like, as, people in your life, like the instructor, for example, that saw something in you,
Mhm.
your stepfather who said, it's okay, you don't need to know what you're doing. Is that ultimately like I know for me and as a parent, sometimes we go immediately, and my kids tell me this all the time and I have to work on it, but like we try to solve things for you guys right
Yeah.
away, right? Like, well, just do this and this and like that, because you go into protectionist mode a little bit. But it seems to me that like some of the things that have been the most meaningful to you have been not necessarily trying to tell you what to do or to solve it for you, but just to support you in whatever it is. And then also this idea of like, you may see something in me, tell me if you do. Is that sort of what you would look for us as the older people in the room to help the next generation of leaders?
Yes, definitely. But mainly just supporting. And also, sometimes it's okay to I know it can be hard to see as a parent, but it's okay to let your kid fail and not know exactly what they're doing. And that's part of life, is figuring it out. I mean, someone's not always going to be there to hold your hand
Yeah.
and walk you through everything.
And knowing like if you do, fail, I don't even love that word, but like you do take a turn that wasn't the right turn, that someone's still there to support you
Yes.
no matter what. But I will acknowledge as a parent, it is really hard. Like you do go into this mode where you're like, I don't want them to ever feel pain or whatever, but that is part of life and it's how
Yeah.
you grow,
Yeah.
right?
I would say just going through college and still kind of not really knowing what it
Yeah.
is exactly that I wanted to do. And then coming home and having conversations with Gary, my stepdad, and he'd be like, look, there's other options out there. You don't have to commit to this. You
Yeah.
don't have to stick to this. And he would help me explore. Not gonna lie, we use AI to help me explore.
Right. Well, that's the great irony, right?
Yeah.
Because it brings real benefits and also things that are terrifying.
Yeah.
And I see both sides of it. And I've even found, I mean, a year ago, I was personally pushing back on using it. And now I'm like, oh my God, it's made my life so much easier in some
Yeah.
aspects. And I have a real fear of it trying to really take over what makes us uniquely human, unique as humans. And also as humans, we want purpose in life, right? And if it starts taking all of the jobs for a lot of people, and in my humble belief, your job is, if you're going to be ultimately happy with it, it is about purpose, right? If you're just doing it to pay the bills, which can be necessary at times, that's a different argument. But it really, when you're doing something you love, it is fulfilling you and bringing you a sense of purpose. And so when you think about some of those jobs being taken away, I worry about the loss of purpose, and that you can feel like untethered in some ways.
Yeah. It's definitely
Do you
hard.
sense a high level of anxiety?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Lots of anxiety, stress, burnout. Yes.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's interesting because that's what they say, and certainly what I think and can visibly see somewhat, but I didn't know if it was a different perspective if you're living in it. But it sounds like there is a real sense of stress and anxiety.
Yeah, there definitely is. And lots of burnout, especially going into a new career. And then it's like, boom, 9 to 5. This is what you're doing. You're working with kids all day and client after client. Then you get lunch, and then wait, you have to do all your notes. And that's like another hour or two. And sometimes you even have take-home work.
Right.
And you're like, is this what the rest of my life is going to be like?
Right.
And it's a sad reality that we live in. And it's not easy, especially living in Southern California, where the rates of things have just skyrocketed.
If you could picture yourself 20 years from now, what do you want to see?
I would want to see myself as healthy, happy, and feeling fulfilled in whatever career it is that I've chosen.
I think that's amazing, by the way, because I also think that's a very mature answer. Because I think as you get older, you actually start to realize that is what matters. Yeah. But I think oftentimes it's very easy to get caught up, especially when you're newly graduated, to like, well, no, I want to see that I've had this many jobs and I now own this, and you can get caught into that cycle of it's about the titles, the material things.
Yes.
And what you'll find is almost every, person and leader that you talk to that's much further and later in their career and life, they'll all tell you it was all just about fulfillment and happiness. Like that's really what it was. So I think that that's really insightful that you can already see that. And I think the fact that that is what your North Star is right now, I have no doubt you'll get there, because that is what kind of can keep you on that path. It's really easy to get pulled into these crazy directions if your North Star is, I need to have reached a certain title by a certain age, or I have to have checked these certain boxes. I think that's how people wind up oftentimes realizing 20 years from now that they're miserable.
Yeah.
And they don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's because that goal, what they thought they wanted to see was more about completing certain things than actually how they were feeling.
And how they felt. Yeah.
Yeah, and how they felt. And I love that. I think yoga has also brought that perspective even more home to you and to experience.
Yeah.
If you could ask me any questions about, again, I'm 25, more than 25 years older than you, further in my career, further in my life. Like, what would you want to know from someone like me?
I'm glad you're asking, because I was planning on asking you.
Good.
But what advice would you give to just your younger self, and then to people in my generation, and maybe how does that change the way you parent your kids now?
So it's a great question. I'll try to answer it each as an individual question. So the first is, what would I tell my younger self? I think that's a really good question. I think part of it would be to be more open-minded. I've realized that in my career has taken many more twists and turns and weaves than I would have ever known. And early on in my career, I definitely caught myself defining myself in a certain space. So when I ended up in market, it was like I got my degree in English and I was like, I'm a writer. And then ultimately I, got a job in advertising marketing, and then I became a marketer. And then I kind of had opportunities that were placed in front of me to take some pretty big detours from those things. And I started to realize that it's not about a function or a profession. It's about what is fulfilling to me. Like, what are the things that make me feel like I am the best version of myself. So I think if I could tell myself earlier on, I think I would have said, like, don't worry if you don't have it figured out. And even if you think you have it figured out, you probably don't. Like that's great, but you're probably going to do a million things you never in your life thought you're going to do. So that's the one thing I would do. I guess the other thing I wish I would have known as growing up is how many amazing careers there were, particularly to be more creative. Like, again, it was so easy to be like, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to be whatever. And I remember to underscore what you said about Gary, I decided to major in English, and a lot of people thought my parents had lost their minds letting me major in English. And my parents, particularly my dad, was like, do what you love. You love to write. Like, it'll work out. It'll work out. Like, enjoy your experience. Like, and that's even a funny story because I kept trying to declare different majors and I hated everything. I was like history, then I was political science. Finally sat down with it was like the end of my sophomore year, you had to declare. And she's looking at everything I had taken. And she's like, why don't you just declare English? I'd been taking all English electives because in my mind, that wasn't even a reasonable major.
I see.
And she was like, well, why wouldn't you just major in English? And I was like, is that even a thing? She's like, yeah, it's a thing. It's an actual major. And so I did. And then I had taken so many classes at that point as a liberal arts degree that I spent like my senior year taking film and like history of because I do what I thought were all my electives became my courses for my major. Nice. So as soon as I made that declaration, I had like a year and a half of electives. I was like, okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So also having that support of a family that was like, it's fine. Like, it's going to work out. Like, do something you love, enjoy your experience, and it will work out. The second thing is, how has it informed the way I've parented my children? I've really tried to encourage them, follow your passions. Like, don't get stuck on what you think you can get a job in. You need to be focused on what you love to do. Like, that is what you need to do. And, I have a child that's now in art and design school. And you have these people that are like, oh, art and design school. I'm like, yes. Like, what do you mean art and design school ? Like, the world needs more creative thinkers and artists and minds. And that should be honored and cultivated.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in just trying to be that supportive arm and really trust the process a little bit. Like, please follow your passions. It will get you there. So I think that is the answer to the question about my kids. And then I guess advice for all of you is try your best. I know it's virtually impossible, but like, yes, AI, it's coming at us like a train. It's not the first thing that has come at us at a train. I mean, there are people that, yes, I acknowledge it's probably a bigger disruptor, but like when computers first came out, everybody thought the world was going to end. Like, it was such a big thing of like, well, what about all of these jobs? And now it's going to automate so many people's jobs. And now the computer can think faster than the people. And change is scary and inevitable. And so I would say there's a lot more beauty in this world and opportunity in this world than there is, in my opinion, like scariness and angst.
Yeah.
So if you can try to focus on that, we'll get through it. Like, we will. Like, I get it. Are some jobs going to disappear? 100%.
Yeah.
There are realities to this, and more opportunities will come.
Yeah.
Right? And if this means, one of the things that I will tell you that is maybe a good thing that's coming out of all this AI is, speaking from someone who has a degree in English and is a firm believer in creative thinking and all of these things, I watched when I was growing up, them start to cut every humanities program, every art program, every music program, because it became STEM. And the whole world was going to be STEM. And now we're finding out that AI can code. And what do you know? They're like, bring the humanities back.
Yeah.
Where are the anthropology majors? Like, where are the humanities majors? And so, you know what? Like, I think it's going to work out. I really do.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be my advice to everybody. Like, life is like, it's fun. It's a journey. Like, just go along for the ride and go with the flow. Yeah. Like, because that's going to be such a better, fulfilling experience than worrying so much along the way. And if you have those things like you do, where when it starts to feel really scary and frightening, those anchors, like breathing, like yoga, those are the reset moments.
Yeah.
And it'll be okay. So that would be my advice to everybody, is like, I know it feels scary, but it felt scary for me as an English major when I was basically told if I wanted to have a job, I better learn how to code. I never learned how to code, and it's going to be okay.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Hosting podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that that's what I would like to say to your generation. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I believe in the power of humanity and the power of the human race, and we're going to get on the other side. Okay.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. This was so
fun.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to someone who is just starting their leadership journey, because I get to talk a lot to people that are maybe in the thick of it or actually coming on the other side of it. But it's really special to see the people that are just beginning. And I can't wait to see what you get to do and all the things that you're going to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
And thank you all for joining, and I will see you next time.